and welcome to the Sleepless Podcast, where I interview people that are much more qualified than me in just about every area. We are back in the studio today with a massive guest with another huge resume. 212 games and 124 goals for South Melbourne and Collingwood, where he's a Hall of Famer. Collingwood premiership player in the 1990, VFL Team of the Year, 3-time State of Origin player, the famous number 7 at the Pies, Shane Morwood.
Good morning, Jarryd. Morning, listeners.
Yeah, it is very early in the morning. This is my first one I've filmed at earlier than 12, I think. So
You're a bit of a sleepyhead, mate.
Oh, sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, I like to get up early, and I feel good when I get up early, but then...
You just don't do it too often.
Yeah, no, it's not a thing I do very often.
Yeah, there's a challenge for you.
I know. Well, now that I've started uni, I'm up at, my first class is at 8 in the morning, so... That's an up early one.
And transition's going to be tough for you.
Oh, a little bit. We'll see how we can. I've got to get used to it at some point.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah. I know you through Dingley, which is how sort of everyone around here knows you, because you are just an absolute legend down at the Dingley Football Club. Because you have just been...
I'm not sure about the legend bit, but
I absolutely think you're a legend down at the club. You've won, 4 premierships in 5 years at Dingley, which is unbelievable. It's made Dingley into... one of the best senior teams in sort of Victoria, and one of the Southern Comps, just all-time powerhouses. Unbelievable. Do you think you have more pride in your career as a player or as a coach afterwards?
I think you go through stages in life, and certainly through my period as a player, when you look back at the end of your career, you're certainly proud of your achievements, and sometimes you can be quite hard on yourself and actually think, oh, if I had have done this, or I had have done that, or I had trained harder. But I don't think I could have trained any harder. Maybe if that period of time of my career we were professional, it may have been different. But then again, I potentially not sitting here opposite you and having a chat about my coaching career as well. So I'm very proud of what we have achieved at the Dingley Football Netball Club. So it's been... for the listeners that don't know, it's not just the last 5 years. It's been there for 9 years, and it has been a progress, a progression, and we've had some great results, as you just mentioned. Yeah,
absolutely. It's made sort of coming in through the juniors, which I've played all the way through. All the way through juniors, you're hearing, you want to play for this senior club, you want to play for this team, because they were just dominant. We'd always go to the grand finals, and we'd go to all the games, and they were just you'd look at them and they were like your heroes. The AFL was, the heroes, but then you'd go to your local footy and you're like, these are the guys I sort of want to be at. And that's because, you came in and just changed the game.
And that's the exciting part of it. So, when I turned up at the club, there was basically no direction. There was nothing from a structure from a team point of view, but certainly from a club point of view, I don't think there was any structure and no pathways for anyone. And there's not many players that can go and play AFL, even VFL. The percentages are very, very low. So what are we doing with our club? So set up a structure and a pathway for not only the players at senior level, but and that's, when I say that, the players that have been at the club for maybe 5, 6, 7 years, so other senior players, they really had no direction. Not that they weren't bad people, they were good people. So I just carved the way and say, hey, this is the path. Brought when I say the junior, the young players. I coached the under-17s the year prior, so that was 2010. Assistant coach in 2009. And then what you just said before about the juniors then having a pathway and excited about watching the seniors and wanting to be a part of that, just makes the club stronger. And it's great to see those young kids coming through. So I think our 2019 premiership team, I think there was 3 or 4 under-19 kids that played in that senior team, which 12 months earlier, I'd reckon if you asked those kids if they were going to be a premiership players in a senior team 12 months later, I think they would have said, nah, no way. But
there's a lot of
there's opportunity for everyone.
Yeah, seeing some of the guys that I know used to play juniors and that playing seniors now. For example, just Rory Goldsmith, who's playing there now. Yep. I know that he's come through juniors, and I've known him for before he was playing at seniors, and that now he's doing what we sort of want to do, which is at a young age playing senior footy, which is unreal.
Yeah. So we started off, I think it was in my first year, we had the Auskick kids come and run out with the boys at the start of the game, have a little banner, have halftime games.
That's good.
Yeah, and I think that sort of gets that connection, and you need that connection. If you don't have it, you're going to struggle. Whether that's sport or business, you need to have a connection with people. So the more you engage with people, the better the result's going to be.
We'll touch more on your post-playing career a little bit later, but I want to go sort of early days now, where you've come from Noble Park. Which did you still have any connections with that club now, or is there any sort of do you still go and see their games or anything like that? Or
no, I don't think I've seen a Noble Park game for a number of years now. I went back there and played after my AFL career ended, but recently, no. I suppose the closest I've got there is from the cricket club. One of my best mates, Craig Ortland, he's the president of the cricket club and involved with the sports club as well. No, I don't see any of the games, but Noble Park do play Dingley next week in a practice game. So
I've got them too.
I just head down there, just around the corner from here. So I think that's on Saturday. So I'll go have a look then. But no, I've had no involvement with the football club since I finished there in '96.
Yeah, I'll be there at 10 o'clock on Saturday, so come and watch us play against
I might come down early, mate.
I know, get around it.
Check you out.
I think my dad's coming. Dad used to play at Noble, so
yeah.
I told him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll come, whatever." But I think he doesn't really want to associate with me because he's well known at Noble, and I'm not a very good footballer playing for the other team.
It's okay.
Oh well.
We're the dark side, mate.
I know.
Dingley people.
Oh well. He was always trying to make me play for Noble when I was younger.
Don't listen to him. Stay at Dingley.
Your brothers as well also played at Noble with you. Was that the case as well?
Yeah, so I've got 2 older brothers and 3 younger brothers.
Oh, yeah.
So all 6 of us played at Noble Park.
Oh, wow.
And when I came back to Noble Park in '95, Tony was coach, and my other brothers, 2 of my other brothers, Andrew and Simon, were playing there as well.
Yep.
So all 4 of us played a senior game together. So
that's pretty cool.
A bit crazy.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
We had to match the Danahers, mate.
Oh, absolutely. I've actually got a book literally called The Danahers right there.
Very good. Well, I'm not sure if you know, but my brother Tony, his brother-in-law is Anthony Danaher.
Oh, yeah.
So Tony's actual official name is Anthony. So the 2 Anthonys married sisters. So that's how they're brother-in-laws. And Tony's actually working for Anthony's business now.
Oh, there you go. All the connections. Small world.
My other brother Damien's working for the Danahers as well.
Oh, everything. They're always connected.
I know. Like Tasmanians.
I know.
It's crazy, isn't it? Should get him a T-shirt. I was over in Tasmania in December. I should have bought one of those T-shirts. Have you seen those T-shirts? They've got a hole in the side with blood.
Oh, no.
Yeah, well,
That's good. I like that.
Yeah, you should get one.
Actually should. From Noble, you were then picked up by South Melbourne. How did that work then? So, did they contact you saying, how did you sort of get picked up by them? How did you sort of get scouted?
Well, they had zones back then.
Yeah.
So Noble Park being in that South Melbourne zone. And Paul and Tony had started there a couple of years prior. So Paul in '77, Tony in '78. So I wasn't a great junior footballer, but started to mature and flourish probably from under 16s onwards. Yep. Had 2 very good years in under 18s at Noble Park, and it helps when your brothers are already at league level. So
yeah.
I naturally went down, but I nearly gave it away in halfway through '81, which was my second year.
Yep.
I played mostly seconds in 1980, and then '81 I was playing in the 2s, going okay, but I don't know. I really wasn't. Football was never my love. Cricket was always my love.
Of course.
And I was probably just a little bit disenchanted, only young, I was probably 19, I guess, in 1981. And Ian Stewart was the coach at the time, and I wasn't sure what sort of response I was going to get, but he said, okay, do what you want to do. Because I said, I'm probably going to go home and go back and play with Noble Park. He said, yeah, no worries. No. So it sort of shocked me, the response. And anyway, I stayed, and 4 weeks later I played my first senior game and, got going, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say you played 17 games in that season, I believe.
It was a fantastic 17 games, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely. The best first 17 games or whatever.
Oh, yeah. I can't believe I didn't make the team of the century with the Swans. Because Tony made the team of the century. I go, how did you get in and I didn't? There's about 212 games difference, I think.
Oh, well, at least you sort of ended up with Collingwood becoming that next level.
Well, exactly.
You at least
right.
made it the
We're
end.
much better than the Swans.
What was sort of the Bloods like? Obviously, you said you played with your brother as well. What was sort of the culture at South Melbourne, and how was your first few years?
it was probably train hard and party hard. That's what it was like from my memory. I'm not a big drinker, I never have been. So it was a bit weird for me, a bit of a challenge. And I'm naturally a quiet sort of person. So I enjoyed my time there. However, when they decided to move the Swans or South Melbourne, we're actually called Sydney in 1982. Yeah. We played our home games in Sydney. But at the end of that year, they decided to move, or the VFL then decided to move us up to Sydney, and that's when I moved on to Collingwood.
Yeah. Do you have like a best game while you were playing at South Melbourne? I saw there's a game here where you kicked 4 against the Saints. Would you classify that your best game?
I would say that's probably my best. Although I did kick 1 goal 6 playing the Swans against Fitzroy up at Sydney. And I'll blame the night before because it was a Sunday game. And speaking of Noah Park, I was at the Noah Park Football Club the night prior. I thought I'll have 1 beer is okay. I think I might have had 3 or 4, which is not normal for me.
No.
So maybe the alcohol impacted my accuracy on goal, but I think the 1 goal I got was my 7th shot on goal. So finally I kicked a goal. So
it was like, was it Neil last year? He kicked, I think, 6 points or something like that. And he didn't kick a goal.
Oh, he may have, yeah. So it happens to the best, mate.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that 4 goals, I remember that. I think that might have been my 2nd game. Yeah. My first game at the Swans, I played in the back pocket, which was really weird for me because I hadn't played backline before. But anyway,
we know how that turned out. Anyway.
And then, so I got dropped, and then I think the week after or something, I was back in the seniors and I played on, or Trevor Barker played on me. So the great Trevor Barker, I thought, whoa, that's cool. But unfortunately for Trevor, I gave him a bit of a bath, kicked 4 and had a ball.
You're his kryptonite, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
You touched on how South Melbourne then ended up moving to Sydney. What was sort of your decision behind not going with them to Sydney in the end, like full time?
I just didn't want to leave Melbourne. As I said, I was a shy kid. I still might have been living at home at that time, I think. I'm trying to think, actually. I think I left home when I was about 21, so it would have been about the same time. And I just wasn't ready. I just wasn't mature enough to do it. So it was disappointing because they had a chat with me, I think it was about October of 82, and said, look, we're all moving up to Sydney. We want you to come. I said, not interested, don't want to come. And they said, well, what are you going to do? I said, well, I'll apply for a clearance. And they said, well, we won't give you one. I said, well, we'll see what happens then. I didn't hear from them again. They never spoke to me again, which I think is really disappointing. I did hear from them again through my brother Tony, which I think was about March of 83. And by that stage, myself and my other brother Paul had spoken probably about 5 different clubs because he wasn't going to go to Sydney as well. So Tony offered me $10,000, not his own money, of course, to actually stay and play with him and go to Sydney. I said, well, it's not about money. I never asked about money. So, and our pay, it was probably pretty huge, 10,000 back then. Still big these days, I reckon. But I'm trying to think what I got paid for a senior game back then. It wasn't much, maybe $100, $150. So
still all right.
I remember one paycheck I got when I was playing the reserves. I got 4 weeks' pay, so I got a check for $36. That was for 4 games in the reserves.
Whoa! And
that was $11 of tax taken out. So it was actually $45. No, what's that? No. That must be more than that. Maybe 47. It was $8. Yeah, something like that. It was crazy.
Whoa.
Yeah, no.
That's
so it wasn't much money. So when you get offered $10,000, it was pretty big.
Yeah, the mind kind of ticks over.
But it wasn't about that. And obviously I made the decision to say, no, I'm going to go to Collingwood.
Yeah, that's all right. How did they were they one of the teams that were talking to you when you'd sort of first said to Sydney that you won't go with them? Were they one of those 5 teams?
Yeah, they were one of the 5. So it was quite funny. I was still at home because I was at home when the then president, Alan McAllister, would ring. Actually, no, he was vice president. He would ring home. There's no mobile phones then, mate.
Of course.
And then I would say, hi, Alan. And he'd say, hi, Shane. And then I'd give the phone to my dad, and then Alan would talk to my dad. So that's how much I spoke back then. So, but anyway, I decided to go to Collingwood because I thought this was the right move for me and to separate myself from my other brothers, Paul and Tony.
Yep. You joined Collingwood in 1983, and we know how that career is just gone crazy for you. You've become an absolute legend of Collingwood, Hall of Famer. What was sort of your first impression of the club? Who was it? Like, who were the people that you sort of bonded with the most and connected with, sort of when you first got there? And
Mark Williams is the person that I connected with straight away. He was captain at the time. He'd only been at the club, I think, since 1980, so maybe 3 years.
Yep.
We are still close. We catch up or we speak every couple of weeks. So we've been mates since then. So what's that? Nearly 40 years now. It's a bit crazy. You don't think of those things when you join a club. You're not sure who you're going to be friends with for a long period of time. But he was probably the key one for me. Made me feel comfortable, welcome, would always talk to me. He's a very direct person, the opposite to me, but we just connect. We get on pretty well. So I understand him, he understands me. So he had a great impact on me, and I was sad to see him be moved on by Leigh Matthews at the end of 86, and he went to the Brisbane Bears in 87. So
there you go. That's all right. Could you see, when you first got there, could you see the team developing into the team that you guys ended up becoming? Obviously, you ended up winning a premiership and everything. When you first got there, were you like as confident as ever that this team was going to get all the way through?
No, probably not at the time. But one of my reasons for going to Collingwood or selecting Collingwood was that they'd been, well, not quite successful, but had opportunities, obviously, to win plenty of flags. Yeah. And they hadn't won one since 1958. So I was probably a bit young at the time to think about, was this group going to make it? For me, it was probably getting myself settled and having an impact on that group and seeing where my career went. So it probably wasn't until about 85 when my form started to improve, and then I think the group started to grow a little bit. And then Leigh took over as coach early in 86, and that had a big impact. So I think from that point onwards, yes, I think there was a bit more of belief, even though we struggled in 87, but there was a few injury issues. Myself and Dakes did our knees early before the season started, so we didn't come back to about round 14 or 15 of that year. So we finished on the bottom that year, but we recruited some young kids. Some of the under 19 kids came through, like Gavin Brown, Gav Krasiska, for example, came through to the team. So they were just early stages of their career. So I think, the later stages of 88, we knew that we were a chance. When
you said at South Melbourne you played your first game in the back pocket, and then you ended up playing on Trevor Barker the next week, so you played forward. When did you then transition to become pretty much like a defender properly? Like, what was that at Collingwood, or was that at South Melbourne, or?
Well, that was at Collingwood. So I played forward at Collingwood. Yeah. And then that was 83, 84. Then 85, 86, I played forward and on ball, which I really enjoyed. I think they're two of my best seasons I think I had in my career. But when I did my knee in 87, when I came back, played in the twos. I can't remember what position we played. Dakes and I came back. We played North Melbourne over at Waverley. It was a weekend where not one Collingwood team kicked a goal for the day. So the 19s, reserves and seniors did not kick a goal.
What?
I think we dominated in reserves, but kicked like 13 or 14 points. Now, I didn't kick those points that day. Not like that day against Fitzroy at the Sydney, the SCG. But the next week, I pulled up right, Dakes pulled up right, so we were both in the seniors, and Leigh came up to me and said, hey, I'm thinking about playing you on Warwick Kappa. What do you think about that? And I'm pretty relaxed. Yeah, whatever. No problems. So we go and play on a guy that's just on fire. I don't know how many goals he kicked that year, but he had a number of seasons where he kicked over 100 goals. So anyway, I played on him, kept him about one kick, two kicks for the day. I think he kicked one goal for the game, and I got best on ground at 20 of the footy, and that started my career in the back line. So, and I was fortunate I'm quite agile, mobile. I could play on anyone, really.
I was going to say, it makes a lot of sense that you used to be a forward and then turned into a back, because for a defender, you kicked an insane amount of goals. Like I said the stats earlier, what was it? It was 124 goals in 212 games. For a defender, that's pretty impressive. You kicked 6 once, you kicked 5 3 times, and you kicked 4 3 times.
I pushed down the forward line a little bit.
Clearly.
Some of those times I played forward. However, I was pretty keen to get forward of the half-back line and link up and have a few shots on goal. So I used to have a bet with Andy Collins that played at Hawthorn, He's a ripper.
Yeah.
And because I worked at Puma for 12 years, and Andy would come in and get his free Puma gear.
Of course.
So we'd always have a chat. So he played in the back line as well. So we'd have $20 every year on who kicked the most goals. So that day, the stat where I kicked 6, that was against Melbourne at the MCG.
Yeah.
I think it was my last year. It was
I've got
93.
Last year, 93.
And we weren't playing too well as a team. So Leigh put me forward at quarter time. So I kicked 3 in the second quarter, gave 1 away in the third, and then kicked 3 in the last for 6. Then Andy Collins comes into the head office at Puma in Moorabbin that next week, going off his head. So I can't remember what round it was, but there's still plenty of games to go in the season. He grabbed his $20 out of his pocket and said, "Here you go, it's all yours, Morph. There's no way I'm going to catch you now. You kicked 6 in one game."
That's good. That's impressive.
Yeah, well, $20. That's not bad either.
I was going to say, I've got here like the kick 6 against the D's in your last year.
Yeah.
Do you remember much of like your goal? Like, do you remember any like outstanding goals, or was it just kind of all?
There was one right in the pocket where I hooked around. There wouldn't have been much space in between the goal sticks, and I reckon hit the back of the post, which I reckon is behind the line, so it should be good. Anyway,
be
goal play gave it a goal, so that was all right. I can't remember many of them.
No, that's all right.
That's okay.
Last year footy just.
So I didn't make an impression on Leigh though, because the next week we were in Brisbane against the Lions, and I played back pocket.
Straight back.
So, okay, fair enough.
I know. We go to the grand final, obviously, 1990 against the Bombers. Big game, massive experience for you. How was that experience, sort of playing in that grand final?
Crazy.
Yeah.
I was trying to control my nerves, but I still reckon I got probably too nervous. I was the games prior. We played 3 games prior because of the drawn grand final.
Yeah.
Not grand final. The drawn, what was it? Qualifying or something like that against West Coast. So I was quite relaxed with those ones, but the grand final was another level. So I probably didn't control my nerves that well. I don't have a lot of memories of the game, to be honest. And I think that's because you're so focused, there's nerves, there's adrenaline. I remember Leigh saying to us before we went out, no matter what happens over the next 2 hours, thanks for the season, it's been great, It's been awesome. Remember running out in the ground and sunshine. The southern stand had no roof at that stage, so because they were doing the renovations or about to start. So I think there was close to 100,000 people there. I reckon I saw a sound wave when we ran out into the ground. There was just this wave of noise. It was incredible. God. Never heard anything like it before. And the rest is a bit of a blur, really, except the bit of brawl going on at push and shove at quarter time.
I was going to say.
A fair bit going on there. Derek Kicker and I having a bit of a chat on the boundary line there. So I'm telling him, well, come on, throw one. And but Tony Shaw tells a funny story with that one. He goes, I can't fight, but I knew I'm captain, so I've got to get in there, right?
Of course.
So he ran in from one side, swinging his arms, and just kept running through to get to the other side, then turned around and see who was coming at him. That was it. He reckons he was shitting himself.
I was going to say, the fight at quarter time, there was staff involved in that fight too.
Team manager Eddie Hillgrove got 12 months. Gubby Allen was our football manager, got 12 months.
Oh my God.
If there's some highlights, and maybe it's on the actual game tape. I don't know, but the cameras go to the ground level where the players are, and coach comes down, so Leigh comes down. Well, I think Graham Allen's actually hugging Leigh Matthews, right, just before the siren, and you see, I think it's his right hand, and it's got massive white tape on it. So the doctors, physios, have taped his hand up because he smashed. I think he might have smashed Peter Power, who was the runner fitness advisor.
Oh, my God.
For the Bombers. Peter was at our club for a year or two, so he was at Eston for a long time. Good mates of Kevin Sheedy. Come across to us, then went back to them, and so Gubby got him one. Yeah, pretty crazy.
You just wouldn't say that these days.
Well, imagine if that happened these days. They get life.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
But I mean, 12-month suspension, winning a grand final, kind of
take it.
Kind of weighs off, doesn't it?
Take it.
Other than the grand final, what are sort of your best memories from Collingwood, like your best games or just moments or anything like that?
I don't know. It's probably hard to narrow down to best moments. Like you'd always say that day was just incredible.
Yeah.
After that, I think it took us forever to get out of the rooms, and we had to be at the Southern Cross Hotel. I'm not sure what that building is called these days, but and we're running late, so we got to there, said hello to all the people. I don't know how many people were in there. My mum and dad were there. They were one of the guests. I think the parents of all the players were there. Then we had to go back to Victoria Park. So one of the amazing memories for me is we're all in the bus. I think we had 2 buses going down Hoddle Street. Hoddle Street was closed. No traffic, just to allow us access to get into Victoria Park. And here's dads and their sons kicking the footy at night down Hoddle Street. It's just the best memory that I've got. And then we got it into Victoria Park. The buses were supposed to actually drive onto the oval, but there's a bit of a dip in the road surface to go onto the oval. So the buses couldn't get out; they'd get stuck. So we had to get out of the bus and then walk through the crowd. There's 50,000 people on the oval. Crazy. It was like a rock concert. So up on the stage, singing a song. I thought someone's going to die here. Someone's going to die. Anyway, then back to the Southern Cross for the rest of the function and celebrations. And I think Tony Shaw and I had our first beer at about 1:30 in the morning. He's a drinker.
And he had his first one.
But you're still pumped with adrenaline. And everything's just going on.
You just forget
you can't take it all in. That was amazing. But so that was then. Sunday was back at Victoria Park, family day. Monday was Mad Monday.
Of course.
Tuesday was Copeland Trophy night. Wednesday in a plane over to London to play Essendon that Sunday. A Foster's Cup World Cup Challenge. So we weren't keen on playing. However, we weren't sober when we played either. We were pretty drunk. However, we smashed them by 15 goals or something.
Jesus. Yeah, maybe they were a bit drunk too.
Well, no, they were pretty sober because she was keen to
play
revenge the loss of the previous week. But so we said to them after the game, so you can't beat us when we're sober and you can't beat us when we're drunk. Give it away, boys.
That's really impressive.
Yeah,
I like
that. I thought it was pretty impressive. I didn't expect us to win.
In 1993, or the end of 1993, you started to retire at the age of 31. Sort of what was the decision behind that? Were you just sort of... Did you feel like you'd done everything you could, or...?
No, I felt like I had another year to go. Well, I certainly had a year in my contract, but the contracts were different back then. If you didn't make the final list, then the contract's null and void.
Yeah.
So Leigh thought my time was up. I agreed to disagree. However, it's his decision. So I went and trained with St Kilda for a couple of weeks, but it just wasn't right. Collingwood was my home. As much as I had the 3 years at the Swans, but Collingwood's home. I was there for 11 years. I just couldn't do it. And what for? I might have played another 10 games, 20 games if they drafted me.
Yeah.
And they may not have. So I went to Frankston and had a year there. The VFA was known then.
Yeah.
And then decided to give it away. And then, I don't know, got itchy feet the next year. And halfway through 95, as I said before, my brother Tony was coaching Noah Park. So I said, mate, I'm getting itchy feet. Can I come and play? So it was just before June 30, signed up, played the second half of the year. We lost the grand final to Partdale.
Oh, yeah.
And then did a pre-season the next year, and then Tony didn't coach. And that's why we won the premiership the next year, because he wasn't coaching. Doesn't have a great record as a coach.
No.
But
you do, though. But
well, got him covered there, I think.
That's quite good. Go back a little bit to 1991 and a bit more sort of serious now, and the death of Darryn Mullane, so your close friend from Collingwood.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, you would have seen the video at the end of the grand final where he throws the ball up in the air. It's like iconic. It's in all those like old DVDs and everything like that.
Yeah.
That ball throw in the air, that is Darryn Mullane. So how was that, like, that night for you, and that that whole...
Horrible times, confusing times, and what I mean by that was, Pants and I were always pretty close. We travelled together interstate because we were the only two players over this side of town, and my wife Natalie was pregnant with our first child, Ashley, at the time. So Ashley was born on the 4th of October, which was a Friday night, and and then Darryn was dead at about 4:30 in the morning on the Monday. So crazy times. Darryn had promised to take Ashley to church every Sunday, which he wouldn't have, but boys talk and that sort of stuff. So that's why I said it was confusing, because you're high as a kite having your first child. Everything's just a buzz, and then you get phone calls to say that he's dead. There's a lot of disbelief, confusion. What do I do? Where do I go? Get into the hospital, see Natalie. But it was all over the news, so she knew by the time that I knew. So, but I remember my father ringing me. My mate Craig Orton, I mentioned before, rang me. I didn't know what to do. It's just a horrible time, and one that never leaves me. There's a photo of Darryn and I haven't been able to find it, but I've seen it was in the papers. I could probably ask somebody to try and find it for us. We were coming off the ground, going up the race at Waverley. I can't remember who we won or who we defeated that day. But I'm on the left, he's on the right, arms around each other, and you see the 7:42. There's so many times during the day from that date where I see 7:42. It's crazy. And his brother Sean, I spoke to him probably a month or so ago, he sees the 42 everywhere. It's just spooky how it pops up.
Crazy.
It is crazy. So, I miss him. I've got him up. There's a painting of Darryn, the Raging Bull, they call it. But he's known for a lot of antics and got himself in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
But he did a lot of wonderful, amazing things for a lot of people, kids in hospitals and charities and whatever. So he's just a beautiful, beautiful human being. So I celebrate my daughter's birth on the 4th, and we unfortunately can't celebrate a death, but you certainly remember the 7th of October.
Okay. That is, and you don't see that like so much anymore, where it hasn't happened in a while, where there's sort of been something like a death sort of with like a current player. Like there was McCarthy the other, however long ago that was. When was that? Yeah,
that's right. He jumped off or fell off
in
balcony.
Wherever it was.
Yeah, that would be 6-7 years ago.
Yeah, I want to say...
Time flies.
Yeah, I want to say like 2012, maybe like 9 years ago. I actually have no idea.
It may be. It may be 9 years ago.
You rarely see it anymore, so just imagining having a teammate like at that time, like still playing footy sort of thing, and then...
Yeah, it was... You don't know how to react. I saw an ad, my wife Natalie showed me an ad on... I think it was on her phone yesterday. It was about the Danny Frawley, like It's Time to Talk, I think it's called.
Yeah. Spuds game coming up.
Which is great, but like back then, who do you talk to? I didn't know who to talk to. What do you do? What state I was in mentally? And I remember Leigh coming up to me the following year. We're at the airport. I can't remember who we were playing. We're heading off to maybe Brisbane. I don't know. Anyway, he said, "Look, I'm thinking about talking about Darryn. I'm mentioning Darryn in my pre-game speech. You're one of the closest guys with him. What are your thoughts on that?" I said, "No, it's too early. I don't think we can cope with it." So, but at the end of '92, that was my testimonial year. I'd been there for 10 seasons, and I didn't realise I was in depression till I started to. People were up talking about me, which was nice. Then I got up there and just responded, and I I had anything planned. I timelined my speech, I guess, in some ways. And then I got to that moment, Ashley being born, but Darryn dying. Just lost it. But I didn't realise I was carrying that emotion around. So, I struggled in '92 emotionally, but didn't realise I was struggling.
It's good that now these days it's changed to be the mental health is so well like accepted around, and like the Spuds game that you were just talking about before, which is coming up, and the Time to Talk and everything like that. It's sort of been so much more. It's so more well known now, and you've got so many more avenues, and people can talk about it, and they have mental health breaks from footy and personal leave and stuff like that, which is cool. Yeah.
So, hopefully, this Time to Talk, because the Sputter. Has an impact, because there's so many organisations out there for people, but I still don't believe people know how to actually take that next step, and that's talk.
Absolutely. Moving on from playing career and everything like that, you said before that you played for Frankston in the VFA. How much of a step down was it from the AFL at the time? Was there much of a step down?
It was probably another year of depression, I reckon. So, when you've been involved at a club for so long and had success, and then all of a sudden you're not needed, it's a bit like your mum and dad kicking you out of the house saying, see you later.
Of course. Yeah.
Don't love you anymore. Don't need you anymore. It's awkward. It's tough. I enjoyed my year there, but it was certainly a come down from a level point of view, different mentalities, all that stuff. Great. The guys there were great. I loved them. But I just thought by the end of that, I think I was just had enough. I was ready to give it away, and had another child at that stage, Maddie, come along, and then Natalie was probably nearly about to be pregnant with Ben, our youngest. So he was born in August '95. So it was time to settle down and concentrate on the family, really.
That's right.
Well, for a few months anyway, until I decided to put the boots back on. Well, sorry, Nat. Just a little bit more.
That's always the way.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just like, may as well just go again.
Yeah,
and then
a couple more games.
You go until you regret it, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly right.
After all that, in 2011, you became coach of Dingley. And that's sort of now, that's how I obviously know, as I said before, changed the club with premierships in 2015, 16, 17, and then 19. I believe you've got a flag tattoo, or you've got a tattoo of Dingley.
Yeah, so I'll tell you how that came about.
Yeah.
So I have a tattoo of a magpie on my right cheek of my gluteal muscle. And then the guys had trained the last, would have been a Sunday games for 2016 grand final. So the Friday night they trained and they were doing a stretch down in the rooms. And some of the boys were talking about, I might get a tattoo if we win the flag and that sort of stuff. And I turned around and said, what are you guys talking about? So we're going to get a tat if we win the flag this weekend. I said, oh, will you? I said, I'll get one. So they go, bullshit, you won't get one. I said, so I walked over, the bodies on the ground stretching, and shook Chrissy Milne's hand and Josh Ferguson's hand. I said, yeah, I'm in. You win the flag. I'm getting a tat. So, of course, we won, but we never got the tat done. No. We tried to organise it. There was 4 of us, and anyway, it didn't happen. Anyway, 2017 comes along. So, grand final week again. I said, well, boys, are we going to get the tat done if we win? They said, yeah. Anyway, so we won. This time we didn't wait for them. So Natalie and I went over to LA in October, November of 2017. My youngest brother Simon lives in Denver in Colorado, so we're going to do sort of a bit of a monthly tour and end up in Denver. So while we're in LA, first stopover, walked past a tattoo parlour and said, Natalie said, well, righto, let's go. Went. Guy went on the network and got a picture, an image of the Dingley dingo, and so on my left chest here.
Oh, there you go.
You can see the dingo emblem, and it says 3-peat, 15, 16, 17. So, but there has to be an addition.
I was going to say, you're going to add 19.
So I'm just not sure what to do. Will I just add and 2019?
Yeah.
There was a bit of a talk, a rumour going around if we won it in 2018. They said, well, you've got to add to that. What would you put on there? And I was going to say, oops, we did it again.
Oopsie.
2018, but unfortunately it didn't happen. We got knocked out in the finals. So, but I have to put something there for 2019.
2019, yeah, you definitely got to get it, get around it.
So it was pretty big. It took 5 hours, that tat.
5?
And let me tell you, it did not tickle.
Oh, no.
It hurt.
I can imagine. That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that. My mate has a tattoo on his leg of a Parma and chips and a beer.
No.
Yeah.
Drunk when he did it?
Oh, well, we're in Phillip Island on schoolies, so...
Oh, my God. Well, I was sober.
So, yeah, but he's just, like, here.
I needed some... Oh, no.
And
is it pretty detailed?
Oh, yeah, like, it's pretty good. Like, the beer's got, like, the foam going, like, the front and top and everything.
No. Does he regret it?
No, I actually reckon
He
it looks
loves
good.
It looks good.
I reckon it looks good too, and he likes it too.
I'm glad he likes it.
He plays for the night. You'll see him on Saturday.
What it cost him?
I actually don't know. I think 150 maybe.
This was 300 US.
That's
About 450 Australian or something.
Yeah,
420 Australian.
Goodness me.
Oh well. Hey, bet's a bet.
Exactly. That's good. Now that you've stopped at Dingley and you're working with AFL Southern, are you still doing that role?
Well, it's stopped because of COVID last year.
Yeah.
However, I did have a conversation with the AFL on Thursday. They want me to start it up again. So, so we've been emailing over the last 24 hours. So I expect they'll say yes. Let's get it going.
Yeah.
So I'll go around to. I don't know who yet, but it'll certainly be Southern clubs. It may be more the SMJFL clubs, but certainly clubs in this region. I'm guessing maybe 5 or 6 clubs, and so I'll probably pay them 2 or 3 visits throughout the year and talk to them about coaching and what they should be doing. So I'll be a coach mentor.
That is good. In the future, obviously, there's that. Are there any plans on sort of a return to coaching at all, or is it just, have you sort of hung them up?
Not yet. I had a number of offers at the end of last year. So Roval and the EFL, they wanted me to take over the role there. So I said no thanks. Bond Beach asked me to have a chat with them. Said no thanks. And then Casey in the VFL asked me if I'd be an assistant coach to the VFL coach. And I said no thanks. So my day-to-day work is consulting. So I coach, mentor some individuals, so managers or directors of businesses, and that's growing. And now this stuff with the AFL, not that I knew that was going to come on till last week, but that'll keep me busy at night time. So I'm sort of doing some coaching, mentoring. So I'm not missing that aspect of it because I'm doing it day to day. So right now I've sort of got a good balance. So you can never say never. Natalie, my wife, said that it was time to retire. I didn't say I retired.
You just stepped away.
So like your uni students, I'm just having a gap year or 2 or 3. Never say never. You never know.
I
might get back into it. So we'll just see how Dingley goes over there.
I was going to say, when I see Denny,
they should be fine.
No, they. I think they had a win Saturday. They beat Frankston.
No, they lost to Frankston.
The seniors.
Yeah, seniors. I think they started off well. I missed the good part of it. I just saw the bad part of it. And then it was raining too much, mate. So
that's the thing. I think I saw the score at quarter time and they were up. So we didn't do very well.
I think they only lost by a couple of goals. I think
we lost by about 7. So
did you?
Yeah.
First hit out, mate.
Oh, we'll figure it out.
You'll be right.
Thank you very much for coming on. This has been amazing again. It's very good to have someone back in sort of my house after having to do all the things over Zoom.
Oh yeah, well I know what that's like from a consulting point of view. Most of it's Zoom, so it's nice to have some face to face.
It is good to have
much better,
way better, way better.
And I met your dogs. I wouldn't have met your dogs on Zoom.
Oh, I know. They're probably at the door waiting for you to come out now.
Yeah, I can hear them at the door, mate.
Hear them sniffing. But yes, thanks so much for coming on. This has been amazing again.
No worries, Jarryd.
And
thanks for having me.
I really appreciate it. So
cheers, mate.
Thank you, mate.
Cheers.